So the scholars of Islam, they took care of this issue about talking about, describing, bringing together those things that if a Muslim were to fall in these things, he'll become a murtad. He'll go outside of the religion of Islam. So now clearly you won't find the Muslim really learning this deen, unfortunately. But in the past, this was from the awliyat of just getting knowledge. And for this reason, any of you who have anything to do with reading books of Islam, like the 6 books of the Hadith, the main ones, the Kutub al-Sitta, Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, the Sunan of Imam Abu Dawood, the Jami of Imam al-Tirmidhi, the book of Imam al-Nasa'i, and Ibn Majah. Those are known as the Kutub al-Sitta, the main books in Hadith. There are other Hadith, the Muwatta of Imam Malik, as well as the Musnad of Imam Ahmed, many other books, but those are the 6 main ones. If you look in these 6 books and the other books of Hadith, you're going to find a chapter in there about the chapter of Ridda, the chapter where a person becomes a kafir, a murtad, in all of those Hadith books. So, in dalla ala shay fa innahu yadullu ala shay'in wahid. If that's an indication of a proof of something, it's a proof that this issue was being studied by the Muslims before. It's not something that people came up with and they just decided to come up with this in order to make, problems between the Muslims. Who's a Muslim and who's not a Muslim is an important issue, especially during this time of the millennials. These millennials who the average Muslim feels he has a right to be heard. He has a right to talk and to be heard. And that's not the religion of Islam. You don't have a right to be heard just because you are you. That's not the reality. In our religion, it's not how life is. The Prophet ﷺ used to prevent and used to prohibit the ignorant people from the community from talking and putting the opinions across, especially when there were other people around who were older, more knowledgeable. That's a different issue all to itself. We have to deal with the reality that we're dealing with right now. Someone puts a post out about whatever. He may be the greatest scholar of Islam, and what he's saying is correct. But the Muslims who get a hold of that post, they feel a right and freedom, liberty to give their point of view. And what he's talking about, he doesn't even know what he's talking about. It's just his opinion. But if you were to grab him and say, let's deal with this scholastically, not based on your opinion, based upon the reality of the deen, you find this is the drama, part of the problem we're living in right now. And the Prophet called these times, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he told the people, ta'ti ala nas sanawat khadda'at, the years of deceit are going to come. These are the years in which the preparation for a Dajjal are being made right now. That every Amr, Bakr, Zayd feel he has a right to talk. A woman, she doesn't know her elbow from her ankle bone in this deen. But she wants to talk about big issues in the religion. Right here in this country, I don't want to go too far. I just leave it where you can understand. I'm sure you're all aware of that guy Lee Rigby, the guy that was killed by the revert Muslim brother and the ones who were with him, chopped him up and killed him in broad daylight. He feels he has a point of view. You should listen to him. He wants the Khilafah. He wants Islam, and the people are with him. This is the time that we're living in right now. To the point where if someone were to say, this is not the religion, there will be a lot of Muslims who look at you and say, you're crazy. Ala kullin, this issue of the nawaqid of al-Islam, you have it in all of the books, the Kutub al-Sitta, a chapter, Kitab al-Ridda, Kitab al-Murtad, in all of those books. And also in the books of fiqh as well. And again, this shows the sad reality, and I don't want to be like negative and dark, but it's the reality. You look in the audience and we come from different places. Maybe this brother is Hanafi, come from Bangladesh, Afghanistan, Pakistan, no problem being Hanafi. This one comes from Sudan, Maliki for an example. That one is from Somalia, Shafi'i for an example. That one over there, he is Hanbali from the Gulf states, no problem. All of those imams are ulama of the sunnah. But you'll find in each one of those madhabs, in every single one of those madhabs, you have the books that were written in the madhab that are just simple and easy. The beginning books, the easy books. A person on the madhab goes to that book and he gets tafaqqah in the religion. And then there's a book that is above that, more advanced. It's the middle one. And then it's the big book from the madhab. All of the madhabs are like that. Every single one of them. But if you were to ask a Muslim what's your madhab, he will say Hanafi. And he's muta'assib. Everything that comes to him in his life, I'm Hanafi. But if you ask him the simple question, hey, what is the simple book in your madhab that if you're Hanafi you should read it? He doesn't know. What is the book that's mutawassat? The middle book, he doesn't know. What is the big Hanafi madhab book? It's not for the beginner, but it's for the scholar who has knowledge about the deen and he can weigh the positions of the imams of the ahnaf. Every madhab has that. He doesn't know. But he's going to be mad at you, mad at me when we don't do things according to his madhab. In reality, he doesn't know his madhab. That's the point. He doesn't know his madhab. And then you have a person like me who says, I respect all of those madhabs, especially the imams. Al-Imam Malik, Al-Imam Abu Hanifa, Al-Imam Ahmad, Al-Imam Shafi. Those imams, subhanAllah, I believe they're from the awliya of Allah, ulama of Islam. I love them. If you want to take a madhab, you're going to learn the madhab as a systematic way to know your religion. But when the madhab is clearly wrong, you're going to leave that. I say, do that. I would do it. Wallahi, in the city of Leeds, if there was a scholar of any madhab, and he was a real scholar, I go learn from him. But when I get what comes to me from the madhab is clearly wrong, I'm going to leave that and continue on the way of the madhab. But it's our community. So when I say, you don't have to have a madhab. You don't have to have a madhab to be a Muslim. Allah's not going to ask me, Abu Usamah, about any of those 4 imams. You know what Allah's going to ask me about when I'm in the grave? You know what Allah's going to ask me about? He's going to say, the question is, Man Rabbuka? Who's your Lord? Ma Dinuka? What was your religion? And what do you have to say about that man who came to you? That man is not any of those imams of the madhab. I'm not putting down any of them. If you want to learn, no problem. But my point is, this is the condition of our community. So, when it comes to the issue of the nawaqid of al-Islam, those things that cause a person to go outside of al-Islam, the issue is important. The scholars of all of the madhabs talk about this. Whatever your madhab is, if you're Hanafi, the simple madhab of the ahnaf, like the book by Imam al-Quduri, al-Mubtadi' fi madhab al-Imam Abi Hanifa. You're going to find it in that book. And you're going to find it in the book after it. And you're going to find it in the book after it. That's how it is. In every madhab. The things that make you a non-Muslim. And that is because the ulama of Islam, they have a responsibility to teach the people. So they wanted to teach the people, watch out for these things so you don't become a non-Muslim. Watch out for these things so that if your relative did these things or people you're out, they are non-Muslims. You have to deal with them a certain way. So I want to ask you a question. What's your name, brother?
Salim.
Salim. Salamakumullah. A person who is connected to you, a relation, You think that he's a Muslim. You find out he falls into something that puts him outside of the fold of Islam. How does that affect you practically? Give me an example. In your religion. How would that affect you or anybody else practically? It's a relative of yours, a man or a woman, could be your cousin. They fall into one of these things we're going to study, and as a result, you're a kafir or kafira. How does that affect you or anybody here? How?
Is it one's responsibility to enjoin the good and forbid the evil?
That's one thing that once you know, you have to give them dawah. But that's pretty easy. I give you a better answer. This individual who's a relationship of mine, if I die, they inherit from me. They inherit from me if they're Muslims. This individual is my relationship, my cousin. I can marry her. But if she's a kafira and she's a murtadda, I can't marry her. I want to get married. So when I get married, I need 2 Muslim witnesses. This one can't be a witness for me. The Muslim girl reverted. She's a Muslim now. We have what's known as a wali. That is like the father, the uncle, the grandfather, the brother. The Prophet said, you can't get married without a wali. The girl needs a wali to get married. So she became a Muslim. Her father is a kafir. Her brother is a kafir. She has no Muslim relatives at all. None of them could be the wali for her. So what about the girl who comes from Sudan, comes from Somalia, comes from Pakistan? She's saying something crazy. People saying crazy. Her father is saying, the Muslim girl's father is saying, Ghulam Ahmed from the Ahmadiyya is a Rasul after Rasulillah. He believes he's a messenger after Rasulullah. As a result of saying something like that, he's a kafir. Now that man can't be the wali of his daughter anymore. So that's how it affects you. This is not an issue that's just up in the sky, theoretic. And that's why the scholars of hadith put it in all of those books of hadith. The scholars of fiqh put this issue in all of the books of fiqh. Now, it was the idea of the brothers who are not here that we should do this class. And although this is a classic class in Islam, I don't want to give a presentation that's beyond the class, or we can do something more important. I don't want to do that. And now the brother's not even here. But nonetheless, we'll see how that goes. I just want to make it clear that you guys understand that point. First point, this issue of studying about what pushed you outside of Islam is an important issue, even if you never studied it before. It's not because of it's not important. The fact that you didn't study shows, no. The fact you didn't study is an indication you're not really a student exposed to a lot. But this is an important issue. And the Muslims of the past, they used to be worried and they used to be afraid of falling into those things that make you a kafir. Today, the Muslim will fall into something every day that the Prophet described as kufr. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he doesn't care. Rasulullah said, the difference between us and them is the salat. Anyone who doesn't pray is a kafir. I know a lot of Muslims who don't pray at all, and they don't care. But they believe they're Muslims. And they really believe that they're Muslims. They exist and walk around like Muslims. And I'm not putting them outside of Islam. I'm making a point that today, your relatives, people we know, fall into stuff that's kufr, like abandoning the salah. And the person doesn't think about him, he doesn't care. So now when we come to an issue like this issue is only going to be important to a person who's taking his deen seriously and is a student of knowledge. Which brings me to that point. Before I even deal with this issue, I just want to remind you guys, listen, when I come before you and we talk about like these different classes that we talk about. It's a good thing that you sit there and you listen, but I tell you, that's not the way to be a student of knowledge. I've been telling you guys, you have to bring a notebook. You have to write. Because I could come and give you a lot of information. I can come with a piece of paper with information, just read it. I can come on my own head and just tell you, but will that information stick with you? Some of it will, some of it won't. Today we dealt with the issue of the aqsam of a tawheed, the different types of tawheed that there are. And we went over it, and we went over it, and we went over it, and we went over it. I just want to check the brothers right now, real quick. Akhi, Abdurrahman, Muhammad. Tawheed is a... Just relax, man. Every time the questions, you guys start moving. That's At-Thahabi. You ready? I put you on the side. You. The aqsam of a tawheed, we said with 3. What were they?
Rububiyyah, Uluhiyyah, Salat al-Sifat.
Salat al-Istikhara, what?
Salat al-Sifat.
What?
Asma al-Sifat.
Al-Asma wa-Sifat. Okay, Al-Asma, Tawheed al-Rububiyyah. Rububiyyah consists of 3 basic main things. When you say Tawheed al-Rububiyyah, what are they?
Rabb.
Allah is the Rabb. And every ayat in the Quran that says that is a dalil of this Rabb. Go ahead.
Khaliq.
Allah is the Khaliq. He's the one who created. He's the Lord of everything. He created everything. And number 3,
Mudabbir.
He is al-Mudabbir. And what does that mean?
The commander, the one who controls.
Meaning what?
Controls everything.
Meaning what? He controls everything. But what does that mean?
Gives sustenance.
What does that mean? Allah is the Mudabbir.
So if it's,
يدبر الأمر من السماء إلى الأرض في 6 أيام. Go ahead.
so if it's hot today, it's because Allah commanded it to be hot, and if it's cold somewhere else, it's because Allah commanded it to be
Keep going, keep going.
Allah commanded us all to be here.
Good job. Keep going, keep going. لا تبخل علينا. Keep going, keep going. Allah Azza wa Jal, everything that happens, the tadbir, the rain, the snow, who lived, who died, who's born, who gets money, who goes poor, who has a headache, who has a teeth, who go to the hospital. Everything in the creation, Allah is responsible for all of that. He's the orchestrator of all of that. He's the one who does that. Now the question is, the Tawheed al-Rububiyyah. If you believe in that Tawheed, that Allah is the Rabb, and Allah is the Khaliq, and Allah is the Mudabbir, does that make you a Muslim?
No.
You're not a Muslim. You could be a kafir. What's the proof of that?
Pharaoh.
Fir'aun. What happened to him? He had a big head. He had bogies in his nose. What happened to Fir'aun? How was it a deal?
When he was about to die, he said, I believe in the Lord of Harun.
Fir'aun was about to die. He said, I believe in the Rabb of Harun and Musa. But he's not a Muslim when he said that. He's not a Muslim. What's another proof of that? Iblis. What happened to him? Iblis told the people of Quraysh before the battle of Badr, make shirk with Allah. Let's go against the awliya of Allah. And then when they did that, Iblis said to them, Inni bari'un min, I'm free from you. I see what you don't see. I have khawf of Allah, the Rabbil Alameen. You don't want to become a Muslim. So my mother was a kafir. Shaitan, Iblis, the Yahud, the Nasara, Sikh, everybody believe in the Rububiyyah of Allah. Everybody believes in that. Everybody. You wasn't here. Were you here? You wasn't here today. So the point here, guys, is if you write this stuff, inshallah, it'll stick with you even more. And then before the next class, you go over what you wrote, and it'll be it. If you just come to the class and you want to get the barakah, that's okay. But I want you guys to be better students than that. Listen to this. Listen to this. You know how you shabab, who in the audience, we're always talking to you about give with your right hand, give with your right hand. You know that? Some people may say, Muslims are being killed. What about jihad? What about the khilafah? What about the... That's what people say. They say, hey, first of all, the condition of the Muslims is that many of us don't pray. And many of us don't have a good concept of even who Allah is. Who Allah is. There are many Muslims who believe in hocus pocus stuff right here in this city. Since I've been here, I've never seen so much sihr, so much magic in any community like I've seen here. How many people come to me with the tamima, the tamat in this community? Nice people. Their relatives are putting tama'im in their houses to make them love and to make them hate. Magic. It's crazy. But I just wanted to remind you guys, there's a hadith that the Prophet mentioned, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, Inna Allah wa malaikatuhu wa hatta al-namrati fi juhriha wa hatta al-hut fi al-bahr la yusalluna ala mu'allim al-nas al-khayr. Listen to this hadith. Allah, along with the angels, along with the ants. Anybody here know how many ants there are in the dunya? Anybody know? Hey, my man, you know how many ants there are? You want to take a guess? You can't even guess. There's so many ants. If you say 1 billion, trillion, there are a lot of ants. 7 continents, there are a lot of ants. Allah and the angels and the ants and the fish in the ocean. Anybody have an idea how many fish in the ocean? Is it a lot or little?
No.
It's a lot. Allah, the malaika, the ants in the world, the fish in the ocean, they make dua for the one who teaches people good. What does teach people good? Teach people good means you give a khutbah, you teach someone al-khayr. Eat with your right hand, not with your left hand. Something simple like that. Teach people the qalqala. You know the huruf of qalqala? You just teach people. Here's a harf of qalqala. When you get to this, you should read it like that. That's khayr. Someone comes in the masjid and the guy is facing straight, making salat, and you come and you turn him to the qibla. You taught him khayr, wallahi. Doesn't have to be heavy, deep, just something simple. And that's part of the motivation that I want you guys to have in your head about learning this religion. That's part of the motivation, wallahi. With the Quran, you're gonna learn that stuff, and some of those ahkam are gonna stick with you because they're tatbiqiyya. You practice them, they'll stick with you. But knowledge like this, if you just sit and listening, some stuff you'll remember, but a lot of stuff will go over your head. So there was a man who was with the companions. His kunya was Abu Shah. Abu Shah. He said during the time of Hajj, Ya Rasulullah, I can't remember everything you're saying for Hajj. I can't remember all of this. Rasulullah told the people, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Uktubu li Abi Shah. Write down for this man. Write it down. And he used to write for him what you do for Hajj. Ali ibn Abi Talib, he had his sword. He put his sword in his thing. He said, Wallahi, I never wrote anything from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam except what is in my sword. And he pulled out the paper, he used to keep it in the sword. And he said, Rasulullah said, may Allah curse the person who changes the demarcations of the earth. This is his land, and this is his neighbor's land, but he made it further. May Allah curse him. And may Allah curse the boy or the woman who says someone else is their father. You know who your father is? And you say, no, he's my father. He said, may Allah curse him. And may Allah curse the one who ties up his lihya, as the Arabs used to do. They used to tie it up and believe by tying up my beard like this and like this, no evil's gonna hit me. No evil because I did my beard like that. Salim, if I did my beard like that and you did yours, because I saw you doing like that, will that stop evil from hitting you? Are you sure, Salim? Question. Here in Leeds, I've seen cars. How many of you, any of you young shabab have cars? You have cars? Man, you ain't got no car, man. You shabab, who has a car other than Salim?
Soon, inshallah.
Man, you ain't got no car,
3
man.
months from now, inshallah.
3 months. We talking about today, brother. You always makes my time.
I share the same car, my dad. We share the same
Do you have a car, brother? Question. I've been in this country here, Mirpur land. There's Mirpur land, Karachi, and I saw on the cars here, they tie a black string to the exhaust pipe. A black string. And they say that if you tie that on the exhaust, you won't get an accident, no evil eye. Will that protect you? Is there any difference between tying your beard and that? Good job. So the point is, Ali ibn Abi Talib, he said, I wrote from the Prophet only these 3 things. So the point is, if you want to be a serious student, استعينوا بالله وباليمين. بيمين. You have to ask Allah to help you, but you got to write. You have to write. You have to write. And Imam Malik, what's his book of hadith? What's his book? What is it called? The Muwatta. And Imam Malik had many students who took from him the Muwatta. And they would sit there, and then Imam Malik would tell them, Haddathani. نافع عن عبد الله ابن عمر أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال, and they would say the hadith. Everybody would write that down. And then he goes to the next hadith. Everybody would write it down. But tomorrow when Imam Malik wants to continue, he got a headache. He didn't come on that day. His brother got married. He went to Hajj. This one, his mother needed him to take her over here. So they missed days. But there's a student who came every single day and he didn't miss any days. His Muwatta that he took from Imam Malik is the strong one. And his is not so strong. And his is not, because they missed days. So the one who came all the time and he wrote, not only he wrote, because there were some people who wrote, but when they wrote, they messed up. Instead of saying Yaqub ibn Ismail, he wrote Ismail ibn Yaqub. He made that mistake. He had one. Some made more than others. But the scholars of Islam came and they looked at all of those books. And they found the one who came all the time and the one who is intelligent. His Muwatta was the strongest. So every Muwatta is not okay. That's the point. So the shahid from the Quran, I want you guys to bring a notebook so that you can write and so that we can talk about these things. Getting knowledge, there's a way to do it. And in this class, we want to write and take notes. I'm going to stop here, inshallah, and just encourage you one more time. Getting knowledge, guys, it is important. It will be something that will cause you to be raised up in the dunya and the akhirah. The Shaykh is a hafiz of the Quran. Prophet Muhammad, he says, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Yawm al-Qiyamah will be said to the hafiz of the Quran, Iqra, wartaqi, ورتل كما كنت ترتل في الدنيا فإن آخر منزلك عند آخر آية تقرأها. So everybody stands before Allah. It will be said, read the Quran, which you memorize, and you will rise up until the last ayat that you can read. So if you only know the last 10 surahs of the Quran, alhamdulillah, especially if you're a revert, you'll go up. But if you memorize the Quran, knowledge, it'll take you up and up and up. Knowledge will take you up. Allah said in the Quran, يَرْفَعِ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا مِنْكُمْ وَالَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْعِلْمِ darajat. Those people who believe and those people who Allah gave you knowledge, Allah will raise you up in degrees. I'm telling you, hear what I say. Hear what I say. I'm telling you guys, is it possible for me to turn the time, like I'm 58 now? Can I turn the time back and go to 17, 18? Is that possible? Those years are gone. Kiss them back, kiss them, they're gone. But if I can turn the time back, wallahi, I would pay attention in regular school. I was a knucklehead. I was smart, I could do the work, I could have been one of the smartest people, but I was poor. My mother and father were not educated. My mother and father were not telling me, do your homework, where's your project? Let's go to school. Every time they gave my report card. You know the report card? You know the report card? When I got my report card, if I showed it to my parents, I would change the grades, A, like that, and then then sign it. And my mother wouldn't say what they wouldn't say. So I went through school, wasted time. Now, I wish I would have gone to school so I could have been a doctor or airplane pilot or driving a spaceship or something like that. But look, I said, alhamdulillah. I accepted al-Islam. I went to Medina and I got a degree in Arabic language. It ain't even my language. Is that because I'm smart and better? No, it's a proof that I could have did the other thing. But I just didn't have that support. Now, I don't want you guys to fall into that. The mother is from Somalia. She doesn't speak English well, so she doesn't know the importance of education. And she just leave her kid because she's by herself, mujahida. Father's not around. So the kid's gonna grow up dumb. Or Pakistani. Mother and father don't know the language. And we have to stop that thing. The mother and the father have to be here pushing their kids. So I want you guys to be in the dunya, the secular, وَلَا تَنْسَى نَصِيبَكَ مِنَ الدُّنْيَا. I want you to be on that, and I want you to be like that in your deen. And you can't come to the masjid just listening all the time. Can't do that all the time. Especially some of you, because you're not from these regular kids. You're from the people I see every day. If I die, I want you brothers to be those people who say, yeah, that guy, he died. But one thing I learned from him is, this deen is, قال الله وقال رسوله وقال الصحابة ليس بالتمويه ما نسبك لخلافة بين الرجل وبين السفيه. The man says something, Prophet Muhammad says something, we talking about, but the Sheikh said. We don't pay attention to what anybody said. Prophet Muhammad said this. What Allah said, what the Prophet said, and those companions. So guys, try to be serious students, inshallah. Okay? All right, guys, do you have any questions, inshallah? Put your questions forward. Alaykum Sheikh. Hey boy, what's your name?
Musa.
Musa. Mursi or Musa?
Musa.
Musa. How old are you?
12.
You been here before?
Yeah.
You came with him?
Yeah.
Okay, Musa. Any questions, Ikhwan? Where's my man Ahmed?
He's not here. Is that my brother's house?
Any questions, fellas? Okay, we're gonna stop here, inshallah. Next week, we're gonna start this book. Whoever comes, whoever doesn't come. But inshallah, next week, we're gonna start this book.
غرباء 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 غرباء